Hey guys, so I literally just posted a video maybe 15 minutes ago that I had made this morning exploring the question, was Marcel Lefebvre gay? In it, I had referenced a video by Milo Yiannopoulos, an interview that he did with Patrick Coffin a couple of years ago. And there was a couple things he said that I forgot to mention that I think is important. So I'm just going to put it in this short video. And then I just want to emphasize, I said it in the beginning, but sometimes I go on and people lose the gist of the video. I want to emphasize, the problem is not the traditional Latin Mass. The problem is the few with really loud voices and a lot of money backing them that use the Latin Mass to divide us Catholics. And even Pope Benedict, when he was alive, said he was sad because he allowed the Latin Mass to bring unity in the church, and because some used it to bring division, Pope Francis was forced to restrict it again. So again, like I said, I've interviewed guys on the show that I highly respect. I mentioned Keith Nestor and Dr. Scott Hahn. They were both Protestant pastors who came over to the church through the Novus Order, but fell in love with the Latin Mass when they were exposed to it, and they love the Latin Mass. So when I talk about the SSPX and those who attack the church, I'm not talking about your ordinary traditional Latin Mass goer. So let's get that straight, because I'm getting emails that, I'm like, man, did people even listen to this video? So what Milo said to Patrick Coffin, which was kind of interesting, he said that a lot of effeminate men, and he should know what an effeminate man is, because he's like the most effeminate man, and he would even admit it. I'm not like dissing the poor guy. He's like the most effeminate man I've ever seen, to be honest with you. And I worked at Disney, so that's saying something. But back in the day, excuse me, if you're from Florida, you'll know what I mean. But anyhow, he said effeminate men are attracted to traditional Latin Mass for some reason. And he said there's a lot of gay priests that are also traditional Latin Mass priests. And he said there's a, like an inside joke amongst these effeminate Catholics, and they call these priests the daughters of Trent, which I thought was interesting. I've never heard that before. But I was wondering, like, where do these daughters of Trent come from? And I think it was just yesterday, actually, watched a video on, I mentioned her also, Miss Happy Catholic, a YouTube channel, really sweet young girl, hosts it. And she had on a former SSPX seminarian, and he said in seminary, like a third of the seminarians, the SSPX seminaries, were gay, and they like made advances on him, and they were very aggressive. And he said when he pushed them off and told them it's against church teachings, against the Bible, they started calling them homophobes. And he said it was well known, all the seminarians knew it, these instructors knew it. And I assume he left. I didn't listen to the whole video, but so basically these were the daughters of Trent come from, the SSPX seminaries. Now, again, when you give generalizations, people get offended. Well, my priest is holy, my priest is good. Well, if your priest is SSPX, he's in rebellion. And if you watch the last video, rebellion is witchcraft, is divination. But today I'm talking about these daughters of Trent. So what you guys do that attack Pope Francis and attack the Novus Ordo Mass and attack 90% of Catholics is you'll take one stupid clown mask and say, this is the fruit of the Novus Order, which is ridiculous. And anybody who falls for that, you need to start thinking for yourself and learn how to critically think. Because there's, I don't even know how many, 100,000 churches throughout the whole world, 200,000 Catholic churches has Mass every day. So you're going to pick one or two here and there, and every Novus Order goer and priest will say, yeah, they were wrong. So what they do is they use a straw man. And what the straw man is abuse of the Novus Ordo Mass. And I've had Father Blake Britton on here explain what Vatican II was about. And he explained how liberal theologians misrepresented it to priests that weren't at the largest ecumenical council that the church has ever had. And so they implemented things they shouldn't have because of these liberal theologians. But the young priests today in the Novus Order are not daughters of Trent. These guys are sons of the church. Every young priest I meet is a son of the church who loves the Lord Jesus Christ with all his heart, soul, and mind. And they are warriors. They are soldiers of the Lord. And they're reclaiming Vatican II. And that's what Father Blake Britton, who happens to be in my diocese, wrote a book, Reclaiming Vatican II. Please read it and get educated before you keep attacking your straw man attacks. So I tell you about Marcel Lefebvre's indiscretions, and I tell you about these SSPX seminaries, not to paint a broad brush that all TLM are bad. I just told you, Keith Nestor, Dr. Scott Hahn, and I'm sure I've had a half a dozen other Catholics on that love the TLM. But I could pick and choose. Oh, look at this. Look at the fruit. Look at the fruit of the Latin Mass. You got gay seminarians in SSPX abusing little boys. I'm not saying that's the norm. I'm just saying if you want to fight like that, I'm going to fight like that. And you guys are way worse than we are. Honestly, you look at the statistics. But again, I want to reiterate, it's not the Latin Mass. It's those that use the Latin Mass to cause division in the church. Cause rebellion. And rebellion comes from the devil. The devil was the first rebel. So I look forward to my first Latin Mass. I'm sure I'm going to love it. But if these guys keep using it to cause division, it's going to be harder and harder to find because Pope Francis is going to have no choice but to restrict it even further. So please don't give these guys a platform, you know. Stop watching these guys that are constantly attacking the church, you know. So that's all I wanted to say was I have nothing against the Latin Mass, and I'm sure the majority of guys aren't effeminate. You know, I'm just making a point. Just like a majority of Novus Ordo masses aren't a clown mass. So hopefully now everybody understands my point. And, you know, Jesus said, Father, let them be one as we are one. And Jesus also said, they will know you are my disciples by your love for one another. And this is my prayer. This is why I left Protestantism. I was a Protestant for 30 years, but God showed me he wanted his church to be one. And when I see these little groups splitting off and saying, I'm not in schism, they're in schism, I'm like, dude, you sound like Martin Luther. So I'm going to get on with my mission of bringing Protestants back into the church. I got some good apologetic videos planned. But please, don't attack your brothers and sisters. Pray for them. God bless. Stay Catholic. And if you're buying or selling real estate, where do you go? realestateforlife.org. God bless.